All right, we're gonna try making this call again.
Hello.
Hi. Is this a recording? All right, if not, we offer greetings from...
Thank you for contacting the Bunker Guardian High Command.
Damn it!
We are open between 10 and 11.
All right, it's just before 11.
And if you get this message, we are now closed.
I am going to go grind my exoskeleton against the trash ravager, and not in a good way.
Please try again later.
Have you ever actually spoken to these people?
It's been a while.
I mean, they do know you, right?
Oh, they know me. Look, Tricia, why don't you just go ahead with the other bunkery stuff while I knock out a few cathartic watercolors?
Yeah, you do that, because what we really need is 10 more pictures of rowboats taped to the fridge. Well, listeners, once again, it's up to Trish, mostly because the other choices are a broken robot and a malignant narcissist. Oh, and a cargo bay full of dead me clones. Boy, do I hate remembering those. Sit back and enjoy the show.
Hello from the Magic Tavern, a weekly podcast from the magical land of Foon. I'm your host, Arnie Niekamp. If you've never listened to the podcast before, this is everything you need to know. About 3.9 something years ago, I don't know exactly. Someone emailed me an Excel spreadsheet to figure out exactly how long I've been here. So thank you, Troy, for emailing that to me and setting that up. I cannot get Excel to work on my laptop. But
it's so weird to me that you said 3.9 something, because the 0.9 suggests specificity, but then the something just washes it away.
Yeah, it's exactly. It's not. It's more. It's 3.9. The something would be another integer that would go after the 9 that I'm not sure about.
When did you learn the word integer?
You know what? I was old enough to remember it, but not old enough to fully understand it.
Okay, it just feels like you're throwing it around pretty loosely.
When did you learn the word integer?
When I studied math.
Oh.
He's got you there.
Oh, well, anyway, I keep recording this podcast here in the Tavern, the Vermilion Minotaur, in the town of Hog's Face in the land of Foon. And I am joined, as always, by my good integer, Chunt the Talking Badger.
Oh, yeah, baby.
How you doing, bud?
Doing great. I just got some exciting news. My mom is coming to town soon.
I have not met your mom.
I haven't seen her in a while. She sends me, some care packages, but I face to face haven't seen her in a little bit. It's been a while.
It can be nerve-wracking to meet your friend's mother, especially when, as I understand it, she's a terrifying monster in a good way.
Why terrifying?
Well,
why use an adjective like terrifying to describe someone's mother?
Yeah.
Well, I mean, she's
a monster for sure.
Manticore?
Yes.
And that's like a...
What's your mom?
Retired math teacher?
And would I say, and Arnie's mom, a terrifying retired math teacher?
It depends on your relationship to math.
Wait a second. Did we know your mom was a math teacher?
I don't talk about it.
That seems like pretty big news.
I don't talk about it.
The apple does fall far from the tree.
Apple?
Your mom was a math teacher?
My mother was a math teacher.
Are you joking?
I am not joking. I have never told a joke on this podcast.
How did she teach you? Did you have her as a teacher in school?
Well, sure, but she was an elementary school, and junior high math teacher, so I'm pretty good up to that level. But you know what? Once I get past what integer means, it falls right off.
This is a revelation. This is incredible.
What did your mom do, Chunt? I guess I could ask her myself.
Yeah, you'll find out soon.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, I'm also joined by...
What did your dad do?
My father was a basketball coach.
Did he win?
How active would you say he was?
Very active. Like
sexually?
Well,
you were born, so...
Yeah, all right. Let's just cool it on the stuff with my parents.
All right.
Who are real people and not terrifying monsters. I'm also joined by this other terrifying monster, Usidore the Wizard.
I am Usidore, wizard of the 12th realm of Ephesius, master of light and shadow, manipulator of magical delights.
I'm working on a joke. I'll have one soon.
Devourer of chaos, champion of the great halls of Tarakis. The elves know me as Fiangyalak. The dwarves know me as Zonin and Hoogstangis, and I am known in the northeast as Gasmuenius Maystar, and there may be other secret names. Names of such great power that if I were to utter them aloud, why, I could certainly undo the chances for the 41 buzzards.
You just wrote down "interjerk" on a piece of paper.
That's pretty good. I was saving that one for near the end. That could have been a good, button on the whole episode kind of joke. Oh, what an interjerk. That kind of thing.
We're trying to put buttons on the episode?
Oh, it's a comedy term. You guys wouldn't understand. Why does it matter? This is not even a comedy podcast.
Well, I am very excited about the upcoming Mittens games.
Sports.
I've been watching my buzzards win games left and right, and soon there's going to be an exhibition game right here in Foon. The new team from Hogsface is going to play all the orcs who've just been standing around doing nothing.
The orcs are going to play?
Oh yes, they've been learning the game and they're quite good at it. They aren't as good at killing birds as wizards are because they mostly have to grab them and bite their heads off, which is unpleasant for me particularly, but I understand that's how you play the game.
Yeah, and if the buzzards want some help, Arnie, if your dad was a sports coach, what's some advice you could give them?
Well, you know what? We had a good game out there. Everybody tried really hard, and you know what? We just got to keep focusing on the next game. That's most of what I learned.
You didn't use the word fundamentals once. Reps?
Yeah. Practice makes perfect.
Practice makes perfect.
Yeah, there's no I in team.
Clear eyes, full hearts, no defeat.
Yeah.
I appreciate that.
Yeah. A lot of these come from, there was a coach maybe 30, 40 years ago. There's a coach carved from an oak tree. His name was Wooden John, and he had a lot of good advice, a lot of sage wisdom for a lot of sports players that they still follow today.
Oh, wow. I hear a lot of people are a fan of Coach Taylor, who is just the coach who is also a tailor.
Oh, makes clothes?
Well, you have to do something in the off season.
Oh, of course.
A lot of people like Pentagon offense.
I'm not going to get a lot of these.
Nothing to get.
No,
We're
sure.
just chatting.
Usidore, you've been spending a lot of time with the orcs. I don't like to make sort of sweeping generalizations, but the orcs are all evil, right?
Arnie, may I share something with you that I have learned? For my journey here in Foon as a great wizard is to go all throughout the land and learn all about all manner of beasts.
Is it too late to say no?
Force of nature. No. And I for so long did think the orcs to be not but evil.
He was avoiding eye contact with me.
I have learned some great lesson.
How can we
that
jump
shall make
off
me
of this
stronger
lesson?
in my battle against the Dark Lord. And that lesson is this, Arnie.
Okay, well, at least it's almost over.
That lesson that I learned in my great travails across this wonderful land. So many lessons, and this stacked upon each lesson that has come before, like a brick wall growing higher and higher and stronger. Yea, I tell thee, these orcs, given the proper motivation, being taught to read a little bit, given something positive to do, like recreational sports. There are good orcs. They, like any other creature of Foon or Earth, have the capability of both good and evil. And it is but a choice that they are made or forced into by the sadness of their circumstances. The Dark Lord has done a great evil unto them. I shall set them each free.
What about starlings?
Fuck starlings. They're the worst. They're all terrible. Every single one.
Oh, speaking of flying stuff, is it just me or are there some bats flying around the air?
I thought it was like a bunch of birds, or maybe
just like a lot of bugs.
Oh yes, there are a lot of bats in here tonight.
Maybe a cavalcade of butterflies. Can't tell what that is.
Just like an assortment of shit in the air. Like air shit.
Wait,
you know, air
fair.
shit.
1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Oh, it's a series of bats.
Are you sure? It seems like an unrandomized group of bats, but I don't know if I'd call that a series.
No, 1, 2, 3, 4,
Look,
5, 6.
if it's a series of bats, I'd be very excited to talk to it, but I'm a little bit nervous to engage what might just really be a random series of bats.
I mean, what would that hurt to speak to some bats?
I'm a little afraid of bats.
Well, what is there to be afraid of a bat for?
I don't know. They're just kind of...
That wasn't a setup to a joke.
What?
What's a bat for? Sitting?
Wait, you sit on a bat?
Never mind.
Guys, this is why we never tell jokes on this podcast.
I'm terrible at it.
Well, let's play cool, and if the bats want to talk to us, they'll sit down and talk to us.
Yeah, it's a real power move.
Yeah. Let's just look
Here, I'll set out this bowl.
Let's look anywhere except for at the bats, because they're kind of clustered together.
I'm looking away, but I'm pushing this wooden bowl over to the other side of the table.
I'm going to put some fruit down, just in case they're fruit bats. Maybe put some blood down as well, just in case they're vampire bats.
Hello.
Hello?
Hello, my good friends. It's not just a random series of bats, and it's not air shit. It's me, your good friend, Tomblain Belaroth, and I'm glad to be back at this very table.
Tomblain, that's you?
Does it help if I do this?
What an amazing actor you are. Even when you told me you weren't a series of bats, I thought you were still a series of bats.
Well, part of it is you've got to move so quickly, because to appear as though you're 26 bats simultaneously in locations that are too far apart for a person to be, you have to move so quickly that you trick the eye. You know, a lot of magicians will distract with one hand while they're doing sleights with the other hand.
Amazing.
And what I do is I play a little bat over here, and then I'm a bat over here, and I'm a bat over here, and I'm moving so quickly, really, that you think that I'm in all those places at once. It's sort of a trick of the eye.
With these magicians, what kind of sleights do they do with their hand? Is it like filling out invitations to a party, but not one of their friends?
Yeah, sometimes they're writing passive-aggressive thank you notes that, if you read them in a certain tone, sound like, thanks a lot for the birthday gift. And sometimes that's a note they'll send when there was no birthday gift at all, so it's just a reminder to you that you didn't send anything. They're recording sleights, I guess, quite a bit. Magicians, you know, well, Usidore probably knows.
Oh, yes. There's all sorts of slights that one might be offended by. I'm offended very easily.
Yes, magicians often are, because they know that in a world where there's magic, things should go right all the time.
Well, of course.
And if they're not going right, well, then, you know, it's worth to record sleights.
That's right. It's so easy to make everything go right. Just use magic. Why don't all of you idiots just use magic?
I try sometimes. I learned a little bit of dark magic.
Yeah, I've done a little bit of magic.
Yeah, well, not enough.
Well, Tom, so what have you been up to? It's been a long time. Last I heard, you were putting on your one-man show about being a bunch of bats?
Yes, my one-man show of a series of bats. And I came to realize that that's just a part of my life. And it took me a journey from being a prince to being an actor to being the girlfriend of a baron to being a series of bats.
You were spies for a while, I think.
And being spy. I mean, I'm not listing everything, but it made me realize...
I think that was all of them.
And he said that's everything.
My journey is very universal. This is a story that everyone can relate to. And that's why I have written this.
Oh, that is a big book.
Wow.
Yes, well, it's got all my life in it, and it's sort of a self-help autobiography. And
How many spells are in it?
well, there are some spells, Usidore. You might be surprised. Spells that have been used on me, spells that I've tried. But more than anything, this is a sort of magic where I'm reaching out to the reader. Now, they might not be exactly, you know, a northeastern prince who is posing as a series of bats in the forest while fucking an acorn. If that's not your specific life story, I don't want you to think, oh, this book is not for me. Let's say you're a duchess who ran away and is posing as a series of voles. I think you could learn equally from this book.
There are enough parallels there that you can still draw some useful advice.
It doesn't have to be a one-to-one.
No.
No, it doesn't. It doesn't. And you might read about some of the things that I've done in my life, and you might think, well, I didn't do that exact thing. Don't stop reading, because you might have done something that's similar. So I sort of lay out my story in 7 parts, and I give you some tools that you can use in your life. And what I'm really here for is an MPMS.
MPMS.
PMS.
multi-platform marketing strategy.
Oh.
Oh, tell me
And-
more about this strategy.
Well, I'm doing a round of podcasts right now. I'm going on book tour in Vishtosh, and then I'm sort of presenting this, and I really want to get the word out. I've bought some carriage space, and I thought your podcast would be the first one that I would go on to sort of announce my book.
Because you want to start on a smaller podcast and work your way up to something like Getting Nuts.
I would love to do Getting Nuts. Thank you so much. I wouldn't presume to do a podcast that big. I thought I could walk into this one.
Well, let's see how this
yes.
goes, and then we'll go from there.
Anytime you can come into Hello from the Magic Tavern, no one cares about this show. But speaking of Getting Nuts, that's the last time we saw you, Tomblain. And I didn't want to ask at the time, because you had Alice P. Corn there with you.
Yes.
But whatever happened to Rhiannon?
Yeah, the milkmaid?
She moves like a bell in the night, and of course I would love to love her. But she's back in the Northeast, and I've found, somewhat of happiness in the woods with a nut up my butt, and I sort of feel like,
Tale as old as time?
yes, well, the tail grows bit by bit every day. So it's only as old as when you put the nut in there. But as long as you water your butthole, you will get a tail.
Which is just good advice.
Yeah, that's healthy.
And if not exactly that same thing has happened to you, perhaps you have something other than a nut up your butt that you're watering, like a seed.
Yeah, don't stop listening now
Yes.
if it's not exactly your life.
It's not a
because you can-
one-to-one.
Yeah, you can draw things from this that's similar to your life.
But I'm sorry, back to the strategy that you suggested for a moment. I'm always interested in strategy. Oh, new ways, new paths of thinking that may help me defeat mine enemies. Is there any way I can learn more about this strategy and give you money?
Oh, yes, well, perfect. Thank you, that's a perfect question. So the book is called Think You Can't Change Your Life? I Bet You Can. And
I'm
do you
sorry,
know-
could you say that one more time?
Think you can't change your life? I bet you can. And guess how bat is spelled?
B-A-T?
No, B-E-T, but it's pronounced bat.
How? One small criticism, Tom. How are people going to know it's pronounced bat?
Well, because that's the joke. So it's by me, Tomblain Belaroth, a series of bats, and they'll get sort of like, think you can't change your life? I bet you can. Because if you wrote it, it wouldn't make sense.
Ah, yes, of course.
It's a pronunciation joke.
Yes, of course. My apologies for even
And
asking
we'll
such an
tell
impertinent
the
question.
booksellers
Oh,
to
well, that-
say it.
Yes.
So people come in and say, do you have that book by the Prince that's called Think You Can't Change Your Life? I bet you can. And the bookseller will laugh and say, you've not gotten the joke. Is bet you can. Yeah.
That's an amazing plan and perfectly executed.
How do you
Thank
stop
you.
people from looking at the book and thinking that it's think you can't change your life, I but you can?
Well, I think there's always going to be people who work blue in their minds. Those kinds of people will probably read it and say, oh, I think it says penis, penis, fart.
Yes, Arnie, those kind of people will think something like that.
Because if you're going to see butts everywhere, it doesn't matter how I spell a word, does it?
That's true. Penis, penis, fart, you say. Let me write that down.
So I'm looking at chapter 1 here, and it says all bats are off.
Yes, all bats are off, and that's sort of the beginning. That's really the prologue, right? And that's sort of saying, you want to change your life. So I break it down. I've got an easy thing to remember. It's the word bats, and every letter stands for something.
Ooh,
so
like an acronym?
yes, like an acronym. Yeah.
Is it like an acronym or is it an acronym?
Is it an acrostic?
Well, it's like an
Acrostic or
acronym, but it's like those. But what it is each letter stands for something.
Ah, I see.
Yeah. So bats. Be a good person. Always be that person. Try to be that person. Seriously.
bats. That's a good rule
And
of
that
thumb
spells
to live by.
bats.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
Be a good person. Always be that person. Try to be that person. Seriously.
It's an interesting system because in the second step, you're always supposed to be that person, but in the third step, you only have to try.
Well, anyone who's gotten to A knows that you can't always be. That's something that you try. And then, so when you're at the A and you're thinking, I should always be a good person, and then let's say you kill your sister or something, then you think, I didn't do it. And then so you say, I've got to try to be that person.
Oh, that reminds me. Did you kill your sister?
No, but I think I might do.
Oh,
because
okay.
she's trying to kill me. This is one of the things from my book. This journey has made me realize I need to be more assertive and I need to go after things. And so if someone is chasing me, maybe I should turn around and stab them.
That's very good advice, and frankly, I wouldn't mind if you did that.
Yeah, normally I would be like, don't kill your sister, but in this case, we've met your sister, and she's kind of scary.
Yes, well, what's terrifying about a sibling is that they've got the same strengths that you have. Because, as we all know, if your mother is good at something and your father is good at something, then you are good at both of those things. Very good.
Arnie, you're a mathlete.
Well,
based on your mom and dad, you're a mathlete. That's a combination of math and athlete.
Well, I come from a completely different world where, where generation after generation overcorrects and is not good at the things that the generation before them are good at.
Oh, so they become good at other things.
Yes. So I'm good at like a lot of other things.
Oh, list 2 of them.
Real good at replacing.
Never mind. All right.
Me with you.
You're like 6'5".
I'm 6'4"-ish.
6'4", you're a big guy. I mean, you must have dominated sports.
You know what? My place, I was great on the bench. Like hanging out at the end of the bench, talking to my teammates, having a good time, hoping to not hear from the coach, telling me it's my time to go into the game.
But as soon as the bench levitates, you were unstoppable.
Oh, you used to ride the pine all the way to the basket?
Look, what I'm saying is I was really good at the parts of the game that involved sitting.
Tomblain.
Yes.
I know that you find it intimidating to think about facing your sister Tricia Aurelia, but let me tell you this. You do surpass her in one very specific way. I saw the play that her and Benedict Whisperbrew tried to put on. Woof. No,
it was
thank
about
you.
dogs?
What's that?
It was about dogs?
It was about dogs, and it was not, it was...
Was it called Woof?
It was called Woof. Yes. I was saying the title of the
That's
play.
their play?
Yes.
I've been thinking I want to go see Woof.
Oh, you don't. It's bad. It's bad. It's a bad play.
Well, I want to sit and watch it.
I don't rub my nose in it.
Well, both of you sit there and don't go see that play.
Well, it sounds like the play would be a treat.
No.
Oh.
It's based on the poems of P.S. Eliot, right?
What?
Yeah.
The story of dogs?
The works of P.S. Eliot?
T.S.
Yes,
Eliot. He's a
there was
terrible sorcerer, Eliot.
Oh, that's his father, terrible sorcerer, and then P.S. Eliot was the one that sort of after T.S. Eliot, there was P.S. Eliot was like, oh, here's a few things I forgot to include in the body of my life.
And that's what a son should do, right? Is carry on their father's legacy.
Well,
Yes, we're all a postscript to our parents.
Yeah.
Oh, very true.
That's
Very
why
true.
we're so good at the things that they're good at. It takes them their lives, and then we say, oh, and P.S. take this basketball, and what's the circumference of it?
Tomblain, I'm flipping through your book here, and I found there's a few pages here on love languages. List some of the love languages. I see high fives, anal. What's all this about?
That's ways of expressing your love for another person. So you can do a high five, or you can do a high five anal, like I've suggested there. And that it just it's much more intimate, much more quickly. It says to the person, look, I'm not concerned about hygiene here. I just want to get close to you.
Aren't you going to hurt your wrist?
What's that now?
Aren't you going to hurt your wrist? Just like the angle on that seems tough.
Well, I think that when I propose some sort of intimate connection with a person, and a person pushes back, oh, that's going to hurt my wrist, I think that says more about what you're afraid of than it does about the true nature of friendship.
Arnie,
Chunt?
bats.
Hey, Chunt?
Yes.
Hey, high five anal, my man.
Ooh, high five anal. Ooh, you truly watered your butthole.
Oh, yeah. Yes, I did. And notice, you might think when a person says, hey, high five anal, that they're putting up their hand. But as you saw there, I'm signing up to receive. So that's true friendship when you call out to your friend.
Really
Yeah,
beautiful.
but that's love language.
It's weird. I saw it and I still don't even understand how it works.
We don't need you to understand it.
Yeah, that's true.
It's not about understanding that it works. It's about accepting that it works. It's
Bats,
just like magic.
Arnie, bats.
Bats.
B-A-T-S.
Yeah.
Yeah, be a good person. Always be that person. Try to be that person.
Now, I'm looking ahead at chapter 12.
Yes.
If I were a Batten man, I'm curious about. I'm just want to get to the part where I get to give you money.
Oh, yes. Well, that's a good chapter to choose, because this book will get you started on your journey. But what you really need is a series of workshops from a series of bats. And so, if I were a Batten man, sort of says, well, if I were, it means if I were a bat and man, which I am, then I'm someone who could come to you and speak from both of those perspectives, a bat and a man. And I can show you how the lessons that I've learned as 26 individual bats can teach you about your own life,
Yes,
Bats have red eyes. Okay, do you know what that means?
What does it mean?
No, what does it mean?
They've done the reading. And that's one of the first things that you learn as a bat. You should have read it. And bats hang upside down. Do you know why they do that?
Tomblain, don't tell me. Let me pay for the seminar.
Well, it's going to be worth it. You're going to be surprised.
I want to know. Can I get a sneak preview? Why do bats hang upside down?
You'll have to pay for the seminar. It has to do with their brains.
Well, Tom, let's take a quick break. And when we get back, I have a lot of questions about Chapter 2, Butts Entertainment. And we can really dive into that when we get back.
I think you're reading that wrong.
Scream Space, your one-stop shop for installing a fully functioning dungeon in your own home. With our easy-to-use drag-and-drop tools, you'll be dragging and dropping your enemies right down into a terrifying hole in the ground before they even have a chance to beg for mercy. Our starter pack comes with 4 sets of rusty manacles, a flickering sconce, and rats, while our monthly subscription box will deliver to your door fresh slime for your walls, a special monthly stench, and a new accessory every time. This month's is a withered old man who hangs on the wall muttering, "I've been here for 40 years. Tell me, what does the sun look like?" For 10% off your first purchase of Scream Space, use the discount code
Ooh, hey there, good looking. It's Chunt letting you know you can check out all of our bonus material, including my personal favorite, Offices and Bosses, over at patreon.com/Magic Tavern. Bye-bye.
All right, so we're back on this very special book edition of Hello from the Magic Tavern. We're talking to Tomblain Belaroth, the Prince in Hiding, who's written a book called Something Something Bat Something Something.
Think you can't change your life? I bet you can.
You know, I have a question for you.
But it's funny because bat is spelled B-A-T.
Yeah, it is true.
Do you get it now?
Well, the spelling isn't as funny as the pronunciation.
Yeah, that is true. You gotta bring, you know what, there's author's intent and then there's what you bring to the text.
Yes.
That's all I really had to say on that subject.
Okay.
Tom, why is so much of this book bat focused? This is a book about your whole life, right?
Yes, but if you become a bat or a series of bats and you look back on your life, so for example, in part 1 here, I do the Wars of the Northeast and the Rise of the Belaroths. That's just 600 pages to orient you to sort of who my family is, right? But I'm seeing that through the eyes of a bat.
Oh.
And so there's a lot of bat bulls that happen for my family to rise into control of the throne. So it's sort of like just a brief history of the Northeast, but the way that a bat might see it. And spoiler, we can't see. So it's the way we might hear it, which is much better for a book.
You know, Tom, you've got to be one of the most famous figures in all of Foon. You're the missing heir to the Belaroth throne. I think people really want to hear about that, and they might be a little bit annoyed, possibly, that they got to get through so much bat stuff.
Well, I'm sure anyone listening to this podcast wouldn't be annoyed by waiting around for a long time listening to something that has nothing to do with the main point of what's going on. Have I mentioned I have a very important quest that we all need to go on?
We'll get to it. Look, I get what you're saying. I'm sure a lot of people who listen to this podcast want us to get to the quest and are tired of us spending so much time on butt stuff. We'll get to
bat
it.
He's saying bat, not
bat stuff. Bat stuff.
Tomblain, what's this section here? Bat dad, bat dad?
Bat dad, bat dad. Yeah. So it is breaking down the different kinds of father you can have. So you can have a bat dad, right?
Mm-hmm.
Or conversely, inversely, traversely, you could have a bat dad.
How are those spelled?
Oh, B-A-T, right?
Mm-hmm.
For the bat dad.
Yeah.
But if you have a bat dad, B-A-T. But it's more about inflection. And the point that I'm making there is you can't tell the difference between a good father and a bad father just by looking at them. And that's why a lot of babies stay with bad fathers.
Yes.
Because they don't know. It's not apparent.
They're
Well, it is
babies.
apparent. It's your parents, but it's not a good one.
Yeah.
Now, Tomblain, I am loath to bring this up again, but you've spent so much time now as a series of bats. Do you not feel the call to return to the cave next to the castle and do the bat dance?
That's a great point, because in the book I talk about prophecies that didn't make sense until I was a series of bats. Listeners to this podcast will know, right, that I was supposed to go do the bat dance when my father died. Well, that didn't make any sense. Why would I do that? But then, over time, organically, I became a series of bats. And so that's why you just have to keep walking the path that life is sending you on.
But is the path leading to the cave?
I am, as part of the book tour, going back to the northeast. I plan to kill my sister and take the throne.
Wonderful.
And you can promote your book along the way.
Well, yes, and hopefully that will sort of raise the funds in the coffers for when I am king. Because, as you know, the Northeast has been spending ridiculously, and we need to reform our financial system. And I'm proposing a 70% marginal tax rate on people who are very high earners.
Well, it seems reasonable that you would reinvest that money back into the services and infrastructure that make the Northeast the great kingdom that it's always been.
So are you saying you're going to take 70% of my money?
Not your money.
People freak out because they don't understand marginal tax rates, okay?
Is this a math thing?
People who are against this know that people don't understand that. So they say, oh, they're taking 70% of your money. But it's only over millions and millions of funis.
What? How much is a funi?
Oh, the funis are the currency in the Northeast. One funi is roughly 3.5 gold. Not 3.10, but 3.5.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, 3.5. Yeah, that's right.
Speaking of money, Tomblain, I see there's a section here that's called Always Bat on Bat.
Always bat on bat. Yeah. And so what that's sort of saying is that if you apply the life lessons of being a bat and you're being a good person, always being that person, trying to be that person seriously, you will always come out on top. Now, not always.
Oh, well, you just said always.
Well, what I'm saying is you will always come out on top. Right now, does that mean always? No, but
I'll
always,
try to always.
Try to always come
Seriously.
out on top.
Yeah.
Seriously.
Yes, that's the second and the third steps in action right there.
Tomblain, are you still an actor or are you a bat?
Well, I'm all those things. I'm an actor, I'm a bat, I'm an author, I'm a prince, I'm a child, I'm a mother, I'm a sinner, I'm a saint. But ask me if I'm ashamed.
Are you ashamed?
I do not feel ashamed. I think that when you become a series of bats, you realize that we all contain multitudes inside of us. When you have to, as I did in my show, breathe life into 26 individual characters, well, you start asking yourself, well, what is unique about them? Well, they're bats. Well, that's true about all of them. So good luck. You're back to square one. What's it like to be a bat? Great. That's true for all of them. But what's it like to be a bat who is getting old and can't hang upside down anymore because he gets dizzy?
Have you thought about having each of the 26 bats have their own kind of personality on the book tour? Like they each give their perspective or something?
I think that's a great idea, Chunt.
Have you thought about having one of them say Core Blimey?
That's very good, Usidore. High five, anal.
There we go. Thank you.
Yes, I think that these bats could be a remarkable tool for marketing the book. But I also want people to realize that I'm ready to sort of say now that there's a person behind the bats. And that person is the missing prince of the Northeast of Foon. So if you're going through your life and you feel like you're a series of bats, but also you're a prince, it's okay to be that prince. Does that make sense?
It makes perfect sense to me, and it seems like the culmination of this tour and your return shall be you saying, all bats are off.
There you go. You've got it. Yes, and that takes us right back to the prologue. And that's where I walk into the throne room and I tell my family, I say to my mother, get your ass off that throne. It's mine.
Well, you don't have to talk to your mother that way. That's not really necessary, is it?
Well, I think it's time for me to be a little bit assertive. And, my father was a king and my mother is a large-breasted temptress. So I'm good at both of those things, as everyone is who has parents. You're good at everything that they're good at.
But don't forget your own advice here, Tomblain. Think of your mother's perspective. She also contains multitudes
of bats. Yeah.
So she's had her own experiences that have led her to where she is.
That's true. And so you can't really be mad at anyone, but you can hold them accountable. And that's the key to being a good king. And I hope that I can be a good king for all of you and for all of my subjects. And I also hope that people can get where I'm coming from in my book. And so if they're ever like, well, why did the king do that? Imagine if you had a leader who had written a book. And so then anytime they did something that seemed crazy, you could say, oh, well, they've written a book. There must be reasoning behind it,
Guys, I'm a little bit worried about Tom. I'm excited that he's decided to go back and reclaim his throne. I think that would be really helpful in our battle against the Dark Lord. Oh, sorry, the DL. But I think he's gotten kind of method acting crazy. He's been pretending to be a series of bats for well over a year. And to be honest, we probably should have checked in on him sometime in the intervening time to make sure he was okay. I think he's
Lost
Daniel
himself,
Day-Lewising himself. He's going crazy.
I don't know what that means, but I think if we all go pay for this seminar or this series of seminars, it will all make perfect sense.
Yeah, I bet my left foot he got lost in the roll.
You bat your left.
I bat my left foot.
Look, I'm excited that he's heading back to the Northeast in the name of his father, but...
Arnie, back to the Northeast.
Oh, but it's complicated.
Bat is complicated.
Look, he's going to go back there, and there will be blood, but it's unavoidable.
Was Daniel Day-Lewis in It's Complicated?
It doesn't matter. Look, Tomblain.
Yes.
We're sorry, forgive our quick side talk there, but we have some concerns in the group that perhaps you aren't quite...
You're totally batty.
Arnie.
Thank you.
It's crucible that we get this right, okay? When we approach someone that we're trying to help, we can't just accuse them of
Look, I'm tired of us hanging out in this age of innocence. Let's tackle this.
You can't use mental illness as sort of a phantom menace to attack someone.
You lost the thread there.
What do you mean?
The phantom thread?
No, the phantom menace. That's the best one so far.
Now, when you return and rightfully take your place on the throne, will Alice sit by you as your queen?
Yeah, you sit in the throne in the name of the Father.
Yes. I think that Alice will be viewed as sort of a phantom menace for the whole kingdom. They don't know that she's coming. And then, Attack of the Clones.
You're planning on having children then?
Yes, and children of acorns are clones. That's why I said that.
Yes, exactly.
We're all PS. We're all postscripts of our parents.
Yes, there you go. Yes, right. Those clones will be better at being a nut and at being a bat and all the things that we're good at. They'll be better than that.
And you just have to make sure that you actually kill Princess Tricia Aurelia, or you'll have to watch out for the revenge of the Sis.
Oh no, that could be terrible.
Yeah,
yes.
that could last 9.5 years.
Oh no, but then there'll be a new hope and everyone will be so much happier. And then, who knows? I'll be ruling solo, free solo.
Well, I, for one, would like to buy a copy of your book right now.
Well, there you go.
Would you mind inscribing it?
Yes. To Chunt. Remember to always be a good person. Always be that person. Try to be that person. seriously, it's been great getting to know you and your friends.
It's weird that he's saying this out loud.
And Tomblain, we're friends. You don't need to. I mean, you can
Table.
just sign.
Sometimes I feel like
You could read this later. I mean,
All he's writing is bats.
come by more
This is bad.
often and
guys,
tell you what
a lot of the words in this book are just bats.
to. But everybody's
That's not good.
busy, so you get what you can. Anyway,
Guys, the new king of the
I'll
Northeast
also
is
buy a
totally
copy.
running
Oh.
out
No.
room on this page, which
Guys, I am
bums
really
me
worried.
out because there's a lot I'd like to say to you.
What are you worried about?
I'm worried we're
heard
going to have a
you're
mad
getting
king in the Northeast.
Married?
No.
Holy shit!
I think it'll
You're
be
marrying
fine.
Usidore? He's all
I mean, if one bat doesn't work
married.
out, then the other bat can take over. There's
Is
26. There's 26
weird.
minds working together, right?
But what am I to say? What's
I think there's one mind at work here.
anyway?
Simply a
now
prince
I'm
who
just
ran away
writing
to marry a milkmaid,
in the
became an
air
actor, then
because
became
the
the
page
girlfriend
is
to a baron who was
gone.
evil so he could be a spy, and then to get away from the baron,
Stay
he turned into a
cool.
series of bats and hid out in the forest, where
Hope
he
you have
fell in love with an
great
acorn that he puts up his
summer.
butt, and now he's returning to the north to be the king. What's wrong with that?
Tomblain.
Guys, we were talking about Daniel Day-Lewis and he just started doing fucking Star Wars titles.
What are you talking about?
No, never
And Usidore,
mind.
you want one too?
Yes, I'd like one too, please.
No.
Could you make it out to Usidore, wizard of the 12th realm of Ephesius,
To
master of light and shadow?
Usidore, wizard of the 12th realm
Ephesius, master of light and shadow,
and shadow
manipulator of magical delights,
magical delights,
devourer of chaos,
chaos,
champion of the great halls of Tarkus, known to the elves as Terrakas, known to the elves as Fiang Yalak, Hang Yalak, known to the
Arnie?
dwarves as Zonin and Hookstanges,
Please don't buy a book.
Zonin and Hooks
and known in the northeast as Gasmanius Mace.
in the northeast as Gasmanius Maestar.
But then stop writing names, for the rest of them are secret.
Yeah, I'm not gonna buy a book. Hey Tom, could I just
Yes.
get your autograph? I don't have a book, but here, could you just put it on this piece of paper?
Yes.
What are you doing?
Tomblain Belaroth, Prince of the Northeast. Also, all 26 bats there.
Arnie, did you get any emails?
Oh yeah.
Sherman.
That
Herman,
reminds me, you can always
Herman,
email at magictavern@puppies.supplies. It's a real email address. First of all, I would very much like to thank
Herman,
Troy for emailing me this Excel spreadsheet. I guess I'm gonna, if I put in the date that the episode comes out, it'll tell me exactly
Herman,
how close to the end of the year, how close to 4 years it's been. That I fell through the dimensional portal. Oh, but also, I have this email here. The title is Wizard Runoff Theory. Arnie, do you think instead of being runoff of Usidore, that you really might just be one of the many aspects of Can? Perhaps you should be known to the wizards as Toucan. I mean, you
And
can do
Ringo.
magic after all. Have you ever tried doing... I can't concentrate on this.
Oh, Tomblain, would you also tell him to stay cool and have a great summer?
Stay cool. Have a great summer. Mrs. P will miss you. No, she won't. Ha, ha, ha. That chemistry was awful.
What an integer.
Is that the button?
That's the button.
And he landed the integer button. If by button we mean something forgotten for 38 minutes, then shoehorned in harder than Rogue into Days of Future Past. Usidore the Wizard was played by Matt Young. Chunt the Badger was played by Adal Rifai. Tomblain Belaroth, the prince turned actor turned author, was played by special guest Steve Waltien. Steve writes for the new Comedy Central show Klepper, premiering in June. Let's hope second time's the charm.
Today's Foon sponsor was written and performed by Helen Zaltzman, host of The Illusionist, a smart and funny podcast about language. Check it out wherever you listen to podcasts.
Hello from the Magic Tavern is produced by Arnie, Niekamp, Ryan DiGiorgi, and Evan Jacover. This episode edited by Chris Rathjen. Okay, we're making this call one more time.
Thank you for contacting the Bunker Guardian High Command.
Look, I know you can hear me. I want to...
We will now be away for an exceptionally long period.
That's it. I'm writing a Yelp review.
We would like to tell you when we will return, but we don't know.
How frustrating is that?
What did you say?
I said, how frustrating is that?
Oh, because there was this whole thing on the episode where...
Well, that's a coincidence.
No.
That's all, folks?
I hate this.
Well, I hate you too, so we're even.
Hey, thank you for listening to Hello from the Magic Tavern. A great way to support the podcast is to join our Patreon. You'll get ad-free versions of our entire back catalog, including all the Magic Tavern spin-offs like Offices and Bosses, I Am Spin Tax, Shadow Sit. There are a lot of them. There are 2 new exclusive bonus episodes every month, Discord, all kinds of stuff. To get more information, go to patreon.com/Magic Tavern. That's patreon.com/Magic Tavern.